What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another Suplex City Chats. It is Thursday. We've got a full panel here. One of our Dudley Boys is running a little late, but he'll be there in the no time. I'm, of course, Matty, your host with the most. Go through and introduce our panel tonight. First up, he is Evil Dose.
What's up? And my tech is working. I can hear everything this week.
That's always a good thing. You know, we got to be heard. Next up, he is our resident villain, Mr. Haven Pendergast. What's up, brother?
What's up, good brothers, man? Good to be here again with you guys. Weird week in wrestling. I didn't really see anything too flashy, but I guess we'll talk about that when we get to it.
All right, great. There was kind of, hits and misses. Next up, he is our resident PayneMaker. Sometimes he is disguised as Orange Cassidy, but this time he has returned.
Hey, everybody, what's happening?
Holy shit, he's being the man of... I was about to say, holy shit, he's here to be the man of few words today. There's something new for you.
Sure, we'll go with that.
And of course, one half of Suplex City Chats is Dudley Boys. He is Mr. Jacob Dub Barber. What's up, brother?
What's going on, fellas? I'm ready to talk some wrestling. How good is this North American title picture going to be? I'm excited. I'll open with that tonight.
Oh, I'm with that. I'm happy about this.
Well, then,
this is gonna be
break
fun.
it down, homie. Break it down. Evil Dose wanted to discuss it as well. What are you going to talk about?
Go ahead, Dose. You lead it off.
All right. Well, I agree with you, Jacob. I think it's been sensational so far. And people were complaining about Keith Lee having both titles, and they booked themselves into a corner. If that's correct, I don't know if this was the plan, but it's been beautiful. And there have been two great matches last week and last night. So it was Finn Balor, Timothy Thatcher, and Dexter Lumis. So three of the best on the NXT roster, two of my new favorites, and Finn is sort of old reliable, so to speak, who clearly is having more fun in NXT than he ever was on the main roster, or at least in the recent memory. And I don't want to talk too much about blow for blow on the match. That's not really what I do, so I'll so defer to you on that, Jacob. But I thought the ending of it was booked perfectly.
Agreed.
I love the coordination. I love when Finn does that move and it looks like he's going to get it, and then it was reversed into a submission, and he's writhing in pain. And then Lumis crawls up in his sneaky snake, anaconda, Komodo dragon, silent killer way, and just sneaks that on and lights out. Thatcher is out. The ref calls it, but Finn's not giving up. Lumis never saw. Thatcher never saw it coming. So it's not like he was, someone beat the crap out of him and he was taken out. And Lumis was just he was like Edge. He was he took advantage of the situation. I forget what Edge used to call himself, but someone else will. I'm old. I forget things. But he took advantage of it. He won, and I think everybody was expecting it to be Finn Balor. I was expecting it to be Finn Balor. I was expecting Finn Balor to win the whole darn thing. And so we got Bronson Reed, which I think was an upset. We got Lumis, who was probably less of an upset, but maybe equally so because Finn is, a top tier guy, a star in his own right. And I'm really excited to see what happens. I thought that was the best match of the week on any show. And this is one of these times when I'm glad that we can recognize that the viewership live may be the viewership live, but 70 to 85% of those people just go to their DVR within the next few days and watch the other show too. So, over 1 million people saw that match or will see that match. And I thought that match was perfect.
Back to you, I totally agree. It was great. I'm not mad at the result at all. I was torn between Finn Balor and Timothy Thatcher just based off of last week with Bronson Reed winning, which I never saw coming. Never thought in a million years Bronson Reed would win a match that also had Johnny Gargano and Roderick Strong in it. But I'm not mad at this. And like you said, with the finish, it was executed perfectly. Like you said, Finn Balor didn't give up. Thatcher didn't give up. He passed out. I think it still makes everybody look strong. Nobody came out of this looking weak. They all came out looking good. And I'm excited for this to continue. I'm not even going to make a guess on who's going to win the next three-way match because I don't want to be wrong 3 weeks in a row. But yeah, no, this is going great. I'm loving this. The ladder match should be good. And I still think Finn Balor gets in there. I still think maybe we get like a last chance battle royal or something and Finn Balor gets into the match. But I can't say enough good things about what's going on right now.
Yeah, I agree. This match was, I agree, banging. Like the way their hard hitting was just that match looked brutal all the way through. I like the fact that they just had him just slither in there. Nobody saw it coming. He hit that that choke, and it was done for. Like, I personally, again, had Balor winning the whole thing, cleaning house here, almost squashing these two, moving into the ladder match, and just putting on a performance like he could. And
yeah, I thought it was like both of you guys said. I thought this was a hell of a match. I didn't have Thatcher. That was my pick was Thatcher because he knew I building him up strong. So I thought maybe he was gonna sneak the win. But the ending was just like Evil Doe said, it was perfect. Really creative, something we haven't seen before. So that ending was unique. Something like you really grabbed your attention. You're like, whoa, like oh man, that was actually really cool. It wasn't just a guy hit his move and then some guy throws the other guy out and then does the cover 1, 2, 3 like usual one in a three-way. So it was a unique finish, man. So I thought this match was really good. Hell of a match.
Yeah, I'm just going to complete this little round table here. And triple threat match was, without a doubt, executed perfectly. Although last week, I remember with the first one, I did think originally there could be a last chance battle royal or just a last chance match. But because of the outcome we had here, I'm kind of hoping that we don't have that. Because as there is another match on NXT I'll briefly touch on later. But right now for this, it's just from the match, it's just from what we saw between Balor, Thatcher, and Loomis. I mean, even though I picked Balor, it was clear. It really did feel as if either of these men could have won the match. There was no solid finish. No, there was nobody here was dominating too much. Nobody here was booked to be too strong. These were all 100% equal wrestlers, and they all brought a different edge to that match. How with Thatcher, he's the more brutal, he's the vicious, he's wrestler. Then you got Loomis, as we all say, like we've been talking about. He's an opportunist. He sneaks around. He shows up the last second you least expect him. And with Balor, it was clear he was the more headstrong and determined out of all those competitors. And one thing I like about these upset victories or these dark horses winning is that the North American Championship is not just going to be almost second to the NXT Championship. It's almost going to be as important as you see these new stars coming for that belt, like Bronson, like Dexter Loomis. And maybe next week for the triple threat match, we might even see another dark horse, or it could be the more predictable ones like we got with Damian Priest, Oney Lorcan, and I'm forgetting that footballer who's now a wrestler. But we can definitely see Rich Holland. Personally, I'm going with Lorcan because I think he might bring a nice edge to it. But, it's all about next week. I like the unpredictability of it. I don't mind if I'm wrong again because it just keeps me more invested.
Well said, guys. Well said. All right. Now, PayneMaker, you wanted to bring this up. Let's hit us with your weekly Impact highlights.
I rewatched Impact a couple hours ago today just to make sure Just to make sure my thoughts were the same from when I watched it Tuesday. And yeah, they didn't change. Although last week on Impact, they're trying to promote this new idea for like they're going to do like a sort of cinematic / reality show like with their Wrestle House. I thought they were just going to like parody Big Brother, but apparently, it still is. But I kind of enjoy it. I mean, if this is kind of a good way to to still get some of their Impact talent over while not having too many of them overbooked on Impact, so it saves them plenty of time not have to do the stupid 50-50 booking that WWE does. And with Wrestle House, I like the personalities that were there with the Diener, with Cody Diener and his cousin Jake, with the implicate with Rosemary, Taya Valkyrie, Kylie Ray, Susie, Alicia Edwards, Crazy Steve, Tommy Dreamer being the reality host. It's clear that this segment is going to get the wrestlers over with their personalities and their characters more than they're going to have the occasional wrestling matches. But I like how they're going to try to be creative. Right now, I'm digging the idea of Wrestle House. The following weeks, as I continue to watch Impact, my mind might change, depending on how many times they're going to beat a certain, beat certain story over the head. But at the same time, with Kylie Ray on there because she became #1 contender to Deonna Purrazzo, this is kind of a good way to keep her off TV and keep her occupied at the same time. And speaking of Deonna Purrazzo, she had herself a match going up against Kimberly. It was pretty much just a match to remind everybody that Deonna is not just a technical mastermind, but she's also an opportunist as well. There came this one segment in the wrestling match where Kimber was just dominating her. Kimber messes up, she hurts her arm, and then Deonna, as a strategist, targets that arm to where it gets to this one nasty spot where she takes her arm and she's gonna do like a bit of a double arm hook lock, but instead she stomps on the arm and shoulder to make her submission, the Fujiwara armbar, just that more devastating and cinch that victory. And to pretty much round up my highlight, two of my favorite matches was the Good Brothers in the main event. It's clear both of those, Gallows and Anderson, they didn't lose a step. I like where they're going to Impact right now. This little angle they got with Ace Austin and Madman Fulton seems like it's going to be a good carryover so they don't immediately shoot for the tag team championships. And my second favorite match of the night was the opening of Eddie Edwards, who's pretty much doing what Cody is doing with the TNT Championship. Eddie Edwards is going to defend his Impact Championship every night to portray himself as a fighting champion. And this was a good start. It was just a simple wrestling match, nothing too over the top, nothing flashy. So it was just like a good athletic competition.
Alrighty, and that was PayneMaker's Impact highlights of the week. Anybody else have anything they want to add to it?
One thing.
Eric Young doing good stuff.
Right.
Yes.
Impact is getting more buzz than they have in a bit, which is cool. But they brought in the Motor City Machine Guns, Eric Young, EC3, Brian Myers, or Kurt Hawkins, the Good Brothers, Heath Slater. So that's at least 8 people that they brought in, in the not too distant past. Also, Deonna Purrazzo spent a ton of money.
Yes.
They finally released their viewership after years of not. So before all of this, they were doing about 145,000 a week. They did 157,000 3 weeks ago, 163,000 two Tuesdays ago, and last Tuesday 165,000. So 8 new wrestlers, probably some of them not so cheap. And I bet I still think they were slated to bring in Spud and Rusev as well, and those fell through for 2 different reasons. But anyway, 8 wrestlers that they're paying out got them 20,000 viewers. I am not sure that's the return on investment anybody was expecting. And we all saw with when NXT went to USA and AEW, and whatever you can say about them, whether they're kicking ass or not, they both started 40% higher than they are now. So people lose interest. You don't pick up new fans usually. So I'm not sure that this was really that this is going to be a move that takes them to that next level that people are sort of hoping, where they'd start to be viewed as the number 3 promotion again.
Yeah, I kind of doubt that. I think they're going to focus more on just getting that product there. I mean, they're going to get there sooner or later. It's just they're heavily aware at this moment. They just want to bring these wrestlers in just so these wrestlers can pretty much just make their own character. That's just what I think.
I don't know. All right, but I'm going to use something he said as kind of an segue. Rusev or Miro, depending on how you follow him, was having a Twitch stream and was asked by somebody if he's going to go back to wrestling. And he said he's basically retired. He's having more fun sitting back, watching professional wrestling and gaming. He's made the money. You know, he's been in WWE long enough that he's made the money. And if he wants to take time, besides the fact he's, recovering from Corona, let's add that to the premise. That's got to be hard when, you're as yoked as he is, to be that yoked and then not really be able to work out. You definitely lose mass. So maybe this is a segue. I'm going to take this time, be with my family, because his mother-in-law and her husband both contracted it. We haven't seen his wife on TV lately, which kind of, adds another red flag. But I like the idea of him not just jumping back into wrestling. So if he does end up in AEW, Ring of Honor, New Japan, what have you, he's going to get that pop. What do you guys think about him kind of taking, his time? And
I think this is pretty easily. Phil, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's his choice. Like you said, he made money in WWE. I don't know if he was making $1 million per year, but he was probably making close to $1 million a year. Because he was never one of the top guys. He was there for a while. His wife's there, so they both made a nice amount of money. He's probably was smart with his money. He wasn't going around just splurging on dumb shit. So now that he got fired the way he did, it probably rubbed him the wrong way, because he connected with the fans. It wasn't he was good in the ring. He had charisma. So he really got himself over. So maybe he just rather just chill at home, play video games, and relax. Maybe her family with his wife. Maybe they're talking about that. Maybe. But right now, that's up to him. If he does come back, I think he'd be a great pop, because a lot of people loved him as a wrestler, so I would love to see him come back. But if he doesn't, at the end of the day, it's up to him.
3 quick things. One was in response to Villain that it rubbed him the wrong way. I don't think it rubbed him the wrong way. He was asking to be released for months and months and months. 2, his wife is very generous on Instagram, even if she's not on TV, so we should definitely follow her. That's that. We'll call that 1B. 2, it's pretty easy to be forgotten in this business, even after a short amount of time. So I'm not sure that pop's going to last forever. He definitely has some goodwill out there, and I'm sure it'll last 6 months or a year. But if he comes back in 3 years, it's not like he doesn't have a CM Punk-like following. And last but most, I think Rusev retired. I don't think Miro retired from wrestling.
I don't know. I mean, it seems to me Miro, or maybe he's not like officially, but technically he is going. He feels like he's going to take a break, because as Matty G had mentioned, that he is having a lot of fun on Twitch, and I do follow him and on Twitch as well, and I've seen he's definitely enjoying himself. He's definitely having a lot of time, engaging with the audience in the chat. And every now and then we get a nice appearance from his wife on Twitch, even though she's just doing like a random appearance. And I don't know. I think for me, I agree with Haven though. I think that possibly he will make a return. He will get that good pop, and I mean, both you do have great points. I mean, it won't last long. He doesn't have that strong following. But at the same time, though, the audience that was behind him during his time as Rusev, they were passionately behind him. And it clearly showed that whatever angle he was given, he was able to not only make the best of it, but always come out on top of it, looking like like I don't know, looking like a fresh new $100 bill. You know, it's just that he always was able to find something positive out of whatever crappy angle he was given. And if he ever does show up, maybe at Ring of Honor or New Japan or Impact or AEW, any of the other companies, it's clear he might not get full carte blanche, but he is going to be given free reigns to be his character.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna, if you're enjoying something, and you're having fun doing it, do it. He's an entertainer. He likes to have fun, and if it's gaming, then, you know, go for it. You know, if he wants to come back to wrestling, I'm ready. I'm ready for it. But, you know, let him do what he wants to do.
Yep. And in the words of Hulk Hogan, gentlemen, Rusev, Miro, jam that jam, brother. All right. So, Mr. Villain, somebody popped on AEW that really, maybe not somebody, they came together from Dark, and he said he's really digging on the initiative. Villain, what has kind of, you know, piqued your curiosity about Brandon Cutler and Peter Avalon?
Well, at first, you know, when they put them together, we didn't really see enough of them to, they're jobbers, you know, and so the few matches we seen them on Dynamite or at a pay-per-view, it was a small sample, you know, so we didn't really know what they could do. They didn't really have chemistry in the beginning, but, you know, being on Dark, having these tag team matches, even when they're on BTE, you know, when they were having the matches at the compound, you know, these guys are starting to gel a lot better, and they're having fun, and they actually have some pretty unique move sets when they start gelling. You know, it's always just that one thing where, you know, they can't get the W, and they had a really good match against FTR, maybe a little better than it should have been, but, you know, these are two guys I don't mind watching in the ring. There's a lot of guys on Dark. A lot of good stuff is happening on Dark. We just seen Abaddon, she showed up. You know, we haven't seen her on TV, but she showed up on Dark. So it's, you know, Taz is doing commentary there. I guess we're going to talk about commentary in a minute when we get onto the main roster. But I'm just wondering who's going to maybe join Taz on commentary for next week's Dark, you know, unless it was already pre-taped. But the one thing that's really upsetting me with all these motherfuckers, man, especially with Tony Khan, you know, having that big presence with, you know, being you know, he knows business. You know, him and his father, very successful, owning the football team. So I don't understand why there's never a little highlight reel or, you know, something on the main roster, you know, on the main show on Dynamite. You know, there's stuff that's going on Dark right now that they could allude to or bring up, you know, and they don't, you know, so it's almost like a separate island. So if, you know, like last week when they had Brandy and Ali in the match was sloppy as shit, and it was a really short match. But if you watch all their other, Ali is, you know, when they have more time to read, you know, the match is a lot longer on Dark, where Ali would use a gold dust move, and then she'll look at Dustin, and he'll be like, you know, like, hey, what are you doing? You know, or they'll tag each other in without wanting to tag, you know, so it's always like some conflict. But when they showed up on the main roster on Dynamite, they had to do a couple-minute match. It was sloppy as shit. It was really unorganized. They were trying to fit so much in that if you weren't watching Dark, you know, you're probably just like, oh, that match was trash. Like, that shit just didn't make sense. Like, what storyline is this? When they are building a storyline on Dark, but it just doesn't, it just didn't show up on Dynamite, you know, like it should have. So I don't know, man. It's just, to me, it's like, there's a lot of good stuff on Dark, man. You know, we're seeing a lot of guys, you know, Lance Archer, he just had his match over there. You know, we don't see him on Dynamite. So it's like, it's just, they need to do something, you know, little packages or something, you know, on, you know, to show people like, hey, you know, make sure you watch this too. Like, we could get this up to 1 million views too. You know, it's on YouTube, it's free. You know, there's nothing on Tuesdays. You know, if they maybe start showing some shit, you know, video package or telling people who's going to be wrestling there, maybe more people show up. You know, that's another outlet for them that they're really not using to their to the full potential like they should.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually use that as a. I'm gonna actually use that as a segue to something. It was announced 2 weeks ago. Now it's been announced even more. God damn it! Why is my computer? There we go. AEW Women's Tag Tournament. They've been kind of building this up on Dark, like he said. Brandy Rhodes and Allie have been, tagging back and forth and so forth. And then they announced this week that the teams are going to be decided by random draw. That's kind of, piqued my curiosity a little bit. And then they announced that it's going to be Mondays at 7 Pacific, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific on AEW's social media, on YouTube. It's like, you guys find yourself, claiming that you're going to have the best women's wrestling in the world. Then why are you having this shit on Dark, on YouTube? Why not, take a couple, a match or so, even if it's a short, 10, 15-minute match, and let the women thrive. This just kind of pisses me off. The fact that it's like you're supposed to be promoting this, but you're like, we'll just, put it here.
I'll be able to watch it. If it's on
I want to jump into because this shit.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, yeah, go ahead, guys.
I yield to Jacob.
Well, I was just saying, like,
yeah, Jacob, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna say, like, I say every week I watch mostly highlights of AEW because I don't have, TNT at the moment. I'm gonna be able to watch the women's tournament if it's on YouTube. I mean, I feel like that it gives, more people a chance to see it than normal because YouTube's available for pretty much everyone. So they're getting it out there for people to see. I think it might work out for them. And that's all I had to say.
This to me is all screwed up from the get-go because, this whole tournament seemed like it, they did an interview with Ali and Brandy, and they were like, yeah, and now they're saying, oh, well, everybody's going to get random partners. But then we just seen some chick show up saying she was going to be the not Awesome Khan. Jesus, what's her name? Nyla's partner. So it's like, what? Yeah, Nyla's partner. Some new girl showed up, and she's saying she's going to be Nyla's partner, but then they're saying that it's going to be random drawings to pair people up, so unless I missed something out.
She pulled purple.
Yeah, that's what I'm like.
It was miscommunicated. It was clear that even though her partner was meant to be random, but at the same time, they still used its opportunity because technically this wrestler that showed up to be Nyla's partner, she is sort of new, but at the same time, she's not. It was meant to be sort of like a surprise return, even though, to be honest, it's been years since anybody has watched the dark days of the WWE. And just to clear up with you, Haven, the woman that showed up, that's the former Cameron from WWE, part of the Funkadactyls. The original team of Naomi and her.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with her.
Yeah, no, it's okay. No, she was during the days when it was still the Divas division, and she wasn't the most. She wasn't the best wrestler. She was green in most spots from what I can remember. She was also part of the time when WWE was trying to bring back Tough Enough with Stone Cold as the host. She was on Tough Enough along with the early days of Mandy Rose, of Velveteen, He Who Must Not Be Named Dream, and a couple of other wrestlers as well. So she was during the early 2010s and mid 2010s of WWE wrestling in the women's division. So she shows up. I mean,
what she's famous for.
I can't remember a certain line.
You do this?
You go ahead. I think I'm remembering it, but I don't want to. But I could be wrong. You go right ahead.
No, not the line, but you think about the line because I don't remember what her catchphrase was. She is famous for being pinned on her belly and thinking it was supposed to be counted, and yelling "count ref, count ref," and the person was on their belly. Now they're on their back.
Yeah. Also, She's also known. I don't remember her phrase, but I do remember in Tough Enough during the time that Stone Cold was host, he was asking her what was her favorite match, and it happened to be one of the worst WWE matches between Melina and Alicia Fox.
It's my
And
favorite match.
I just remember it was like a memed clip of Stone Cold having this confused but also pissed off look on his face, like, wait, what? So she's kind of known a little in some infamous circles. But the whole tag tournament, look, I kind of agree with the fact that Jacob. I don't mind the fact that it's going to be on YouTube because, let's be honest, if they had, because the fact that it's not being, the fact that it's all random draw, the fact that the main tag team that's going in is Brandy and Allie, and every other woman in this division, it's all going to be just random pairings here, no storylines going in outside of one. YouTube seems like the right space here because they can try to be creative with this. They can try, AEW can try to be creative with this. They can try to possibly float the idea of a women's tag division because, to be honest, I like the idea of them setting up this tournament. I thought this was going to happen maybe a couple months down the road, like sometime in, like after All Out, they would get started on this. But the fact that they want to start this as soon as possible, YouTube does seem like the right space for people like Jacob who don't have TNT or those who don't have time because of the whole NXT and AEW sort of situation. So having it on a certain time on YouTube on a certain day will probably free it up because then people can watch it, rewatch it, break down the matches, maybe get an idea of what AEW, or at least the guys in charge, want to do with the women's division.
I don't have any issue with it being on YouTube. If the high profile talent they're going to draw upon is former Cameron, who, listen, I'm not a chronicler of her career or anything, but I haven't heard anybody since she's debuted say that she was training in any wrestling schools or performing regularly at any indies. So I can't really expect that she's improved greatly. I think this is more of tryouts there's probably 3 or 4 of these ladies that they're really looking at. And this is more tryouts. YouTube is fine for that, just like the network was fine for the Mae Young Classic. And you guys might have seen me futzing around off screen here, and I was working for you guys. I went to YouTube and I was looking up Dark, and they're smart. They put it in order. It's not totally chronological, so I got the last 4 most recent, and then it went all the way back to December. But the one in December got 557,000 viewers, and the last 4. The lowest one was around 378,000. So it's between 378 and I think the highest was 398,000 viewers. So they're not getting nobody to watch Dark. So it's not like nobody's watching on YouTube. That's pretty impressive. I mean, NWA, probably their first episode crossed 600,000. It took 6 months to get there. Most of their episodes were doing 180, 220,000 after a week. I mean, I'm sure some of them have grown now, but they had plateaued. This is definitely beyond that. So this is, and MLW, which somebody one day will explain to me how they make money, but I've never seen an MLW episode that they always seem to be in the 47 to 65.
I think they have like a deal on the premium channels. I think they may have. I think the company may have like a deal on some of the premium channels, like when it comes with like Dish or just like digital cable. Because I remember a couple months ago, before everything, actually last year at Thanksgiving, going to my grandmother's house, having a family Thanksgiving, and then I was just skimming through channels trying to find a movie to watch. All of a sudden, I see MLW on a channel. I'm like, wait, where's this on? My grandma explains, oh, that's one of the premium channels that comes part of like a package deal. And then I just look at it, and I'm like, wait. And then I started thinking, this may be similar to like what Lucha Underground did. They may have had like a deal with like a premium channel, like for people who get like the digital cable boxes, those who pay extra for this stuff.
Well, Lucha Underground, 2 things. 1, went out of business. 2, it didn't have a deal with the channel. It was wholly owned by Robert Rodriguez, who wholly owned El Rey, which is the network that carried it. So, I mean, it is different. MLW, though, yesterday did announce a signing with some digital service I'd never heard of. But we're not here to talk about MLW. We're talking about the AEW women's tournament and being on YouTube. I brought up MLW, so my bad. But I don't have a problem with it being on YouTube. I obviously there's something to It's another night that they can get their content out. Maybe it's new viewers. Maybe they can appeal to a larger female demographic. They get more female wrestling viewers than any of the other shows. It's still a pretty small amount, but even if they get 20 or 30,000 more, that's basically doubling the Raw female viewership. And in these Wednesday night wars, 10, 20,000 can make a big difference. So, I don't think it's a bad idea. And obviously they make revenue off of it. So why not? I have no problems with it whatsoever. And maybe the finalist is on a pay-per-view or is on Dynamite or something like that.
And you guys did bring up a good point of like opening viewership. So I understand it's just the way that they bragged about women's wrestling, in my opinion. As big as they did, I would have figured that they would have put it on like their flagship show. But you're right, maybe it'll draw in more viewers. And it's on Monday. So if Raw sucks, you can go to YouTube and put it
Raw sucks.
Right. You said if.
Well, I was gonna say when, but they're
When.
All right, guys. When? Okay. I want to talk about Excalibur and his PWG promo because I hate to say it, but shit you say in the past has been coming back to bite people in the ass. Look at Sammy Guevara. He said something on, in passing on somebody's BS podcast, and he got suspended for 30 days because of it. Do I think they made the right call? Absolutely. That's unprofessional, what have you. It makes the company look like, we're paying attention to our people with what are they called? Speaking out. Thank you. With speaking out, they had to set the example, just like they did with Jimmy Havoc. They haven't announced his, being fired from their show. They're still on the if about him. So what I've read so far is Excalibur is going to be out for at least 30 days. That's what they're looking at. I understand it because with racism, Denzel Washington said it best. Racism hasn't gotten more predominant. It's just being recorded more. This is absolute proof of it. If you know anything about PWG, it perfectly falls in line with them. They are bananas, ape shit, wrestling. Villain, you said you've got to pass on that word. What do you got to say?
I didn't hear the comments. I didn't go research the video. I didn't know if it was going to be brung up because it wasn't really blowing up anywhere that I was researching. Where it wasn't like trending or it wasn't like getting a lot of traction. So I thought maybe it's something that he probably would have been like, oh, that was a long time ago. I apologize, and then they would have just had him on. I was surprised that he was actually off TV. So I guess they are taking it seriously because, like I said, I didn't watch the video. I didn't watch the promo he cut. So I don't know which way he was using the word. What was he disrespecting a African-American wrestler? If he was directing it to, a wrestler, calling them the N-word, or something. So I don't know the content of it. But if I think he's better off on Dynamite with him and Taz than he is on the main show for some reason. Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone and that 3-man team just does not mesh well for me, man. I think Jim Ross is, I'm not going to give my opinions on the whole announce team, but I'm surprised that, they took him off. I think it just shows a step in the right direction, that Tony Khan is going to look at everything seriously, so that's a good employer you want to work for, so if he's going to take everything seriously, from the biggest stuff to, some stuff that might be a little minor, but that just shows that he cares, that he cares about people being decent human beings. So if he gets fired, then, hey, that's his stupidity. No one to blame but himself. If they do bring him back, then hopefully he learned a lesson and, he's a better man, when he comes back.
Yeah, I'm going to jump on here. Like the fellow villain here. Am I on a lag here,
I was
guys?
going to say, if you guys take a look in the private.
Okay.
Basically, what people aren't seeing is I put in our private chat the basically what was said, just because it's not something that I feel careful, because my son watches this show. It's not something I care for him to see or read, because he is a mixed race child. He is Hispanic, with his family, with his mother or grandmother and grandfather coming from the Dominican Republic and Panama. So saying this word kind of would be derogatory towards him, and something that I don't approve of saying on this show. So we can kind of get the idea of what it was. Basically, he said, you can replace myself in disco machine with a racial slur against Latinos, and add another racial slur against Latinos, followed by dropping the N-word several times, being backed up by Kevin Owens. I'm curious. The reason I brought it up is I'm curious to see what WWE also does about it, because you do see Kevin Owens on screen and him encouraging it.
I've not seen the promo, so I don't know. And from judging on this little script here, I mean, the fact of PWG, I mean, from some of the promos I've seen of Kevin Owens, Kevin Steen in the past, at least the character he always portrays, Kevin Steen always tries to play his character like off the cuff, as if he's about to blow a casket. I'm not that familiar as much with with Excalibur and PWG. I know he's done a couple of commentaries, one thing I do agree with Tony Khan and the others, they did the right decision, and they're going to take him off TV for a while, just like they did with Sammy Guevara and with Jimmy Havoc. They're going to go over this stuff. They're going to be very thorough about it. It's not going to be the situation to where, like with WWE, in most occasions they'll only ignore it unless it gets massive attention. So I think with this situation, I'll probably come across the video and maybe I'll be more like more inflamed like most of the fans are. But one thing that is true, like nowadays not just with wrestling, but pretty much with life in general, when you do say something of race, when you say something when you say a racial slur, or if you say something that comes off as racist or offensive to people of different racial backgrounds, or you're always trying to, or you're making fun of a certain stereotype, doesn't matter what the context is now. The fact that you have done it on camera, or you've said it in a podcast, a blog, or on a recorded audio message, it's being caught. People can find it, and it will definitely be used against you. Not sometimes, because most likely to point out a stupid situation like, why is this person on this platform, or why in the hell is this guy? Okay, I definitely agree. I definitely agree with that. Malcolm. The fact that he used it, it's unacceptable. But AEW did make, but as I said before, AEW did make the smart choice to take him off TV. I mean, if he ever is brought back, and I mean if, that's a big word, the operative word is if, it's most likely going to be they're going to definitely have him on a tight leash. And with WWE, I don't know what the situation is going to be with Kevin Owens. I mean, if Owens has maybe stayed on his Twitter about this situation in the past, then how good a person he was, I mean, it's clear he's still not being used a lot on WWE. Maybe the fact we don't see him a lot on Raw is kind of given to the credit that maybe they're aware of the video and they're taking him off TV, or it's just they had nothing for him. But this video, most likely, they'll probably send him back home again, and then maybe a month or 2 months down the road, we'll see Kevin Owens back on Raw.
Maybe.
Okay, I'm done talking.
Anybody else got something?
WWE didn't do shit to Kevin Owens.
Yeah, I don't think whatever has.
I just disagree with Ryan. WWE isn't doing shit to Kevin Owens. He didn't say the word. They're not going to do shit to him. He's one of their big stars.
He did say the word, but he said it once, not multiple times. I mean, this was in a promo, but the thing about PWG that I don't know about is whether they wrote their own promos or whether they were scripted or semi-scripted. My very little understanding of this is that it was from around 2003, 2004, and that the face wrestler, who's African-American, the that kind of thing was routinely used with his encouragement to get heel heat and him face heat. And as little sense as that makes to us now, a lot's changed in like just 3 to 5 years. Even in a couple of years, things were different then, and it was in character. And I think that is some distinction between what he did and what Sammy Guevara did. What Sammy Guevara did, I mean, we can mitigate. It was 4 years ago. He was 22. It was on a Nothing podcast, but that was really him. It's different than what Hulk Hogan did. What Hulk Hogan said was that was real life, and in multiple circumstances, including one where he knew it was being recorded when he's visiting his son in prison on multiple occasions. That's the real guy. This is a character. So I'm not saying it's wrong to take him off TV. I think that they should have. I think that it was sort of wrong to say nothing about it. I think if you're gonna be AEW and you're gonna say we have a zero tolerance policy about these things, no matter what, acknowledge on TV. Say Excalibur isn't on TV. If you go on social media, you'll know why. And we're reviewing the situation. The end. And just know why it is. I don't think WWE cares. I could be wrong about that. I think KO got a COVID scare or something and just wanted to go home, or whatever the case may be. And then he has that kind of stroke. But I do agree to an extent with what Matty G started with. I think that wrestling is a strange kind of entertainment form. It's not like a movie where it ends after 2 hours, and unless there's sequels, the characters are gone and the bad guys usually die, and there's usually new bad guys in the next sequels. Wrestling continues. So they are actors. It is fake, but the characters exist, and the bad guys usually turn into good guys too. So it's a different kind of dynamic. I just don't know when we say when about what's the line between what somebody did as a character in an acting, in a fake role, in conjunction with somebody that they worked with in a prolonged program. It was a collaboration for a story where someone's clearly the good guy, someone's clearly the bad guy. The bad guy's beat up the good guy for a few months, and the good guy gets the big win, and that's part of the story. I just don't know if we take that out, how wrestling survives, because there's only so much, I'm going to beat you up. No, you're not. I mean, who cares? We can see real fights. So we need characters. So I'm of a mixed mind. I know times have changed. I think we're all struggling to find where that line is. And I think we all have a different sense of smell. And I am fully aware that I am the oldest and the whitest person here. And I'm often the oldest and the whitest wrestling fan around, at least the oldest. So I am fully aware that I speak with a different, 5+ decades of life experience that's different than probably everybody else's. But I think that is the struggle that all of us are going to have, especially when it gets to someone we like Kevin Owens. I mean, I didn't know who Excalibur was until 2 years ago when he was on commentary, and he saved that first show because he was the only one who knew the people. But Randy Orton in real life got a pass because he's Randy Orton and he's cool and he doesn't give an F. And everyone likes Randy Orton. It was a thing for 48 hours. Yep. So I don't know what the new rules are. I know I shouldn't be the one to make them. I just want to know that I'm struggling with them. And, it's up to guys your age and even younger to try and figure this out and tell me. Because if you tell me what the lines are, I can stay in the lines.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, man said it, and he didn't get in trouble. He didn't get fired. So
who's that?
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. All right, Evil Dosed. You wanted to talk about? Oh, fucking A. Where'd it go? Oh, there we go. Come on. Sorry, my computer's lagging a minute.
It is okay.
There we go. The return of the big wrestlers.
All right, again. Thank you, sir. I am, again, I'm a sizist. So, I'm old school. I grew up on the Giants. So, the Villain brought it up last week that AEW was refocusing on their big men. I think he sort of was a little bit disappointed this week that maybe they didn't do that so much. But it looks to me like wrestling is making a comeback for the big star. if about a year or 2 years ago, maybe even less, if you were to ask people what's the future of wrestling, and we had a panel of the same 5 people, I'd probably be the only one who was saying big, big, big. I think most of you guys would be like, no, Johnny Gargano and Finn Balor and Darby Allin. Those guys are the future of wrestling. That's what's happening. Matt Hardy killed the big wrestler. So it's the Undertaker's old. Gimmicks are stupid. Well, I think we're seeing a return of it. So I don't think it's an accident that you've got a strap on Drew McIntyre, and that even though he sucks as an actor, you have a strap on Braun Strowman. I don't think it's an accident that Lashley is getting a push again, that MVP was brought back in, who's a surprisingly big guy in today's context, and so is Shelton Benjamin, by the way, and that they're being, they're getting a top spot. I don't think it's an accident that Bronson Reed won out of nowhere. I don't think it's an accident that Dexter Lumis won. Now, maybe on the main roster he's not a giant, but in that 3-man match, he was the big muscle guy. Karrion Kross getting slapped. Keith Lee. In any era, Keith Lee's a giant. Even the women, I to an extent, I think that's part of why they keep bringing Nia Jax back on, because she's big. Nyla is big. Brian Cage is big. Brody Lee is a big guy. Jacob Fatu, a very big man. Moose is a big man. So I think all around we're starting to see that one of the things that professional wrestling needs to try to bring back an audience is to have it more superhero and comic books. You need the athleticism, but one of the things you need people that when somebody changes the channel, they go, well, I'm not fucking with that guy. You look and you see Gargano, you go, oh yeah, he looks in good shape. I hope that guy's my lifeguard. But you've seen 1,000 guys like him in the gym or in a bar. And listen, I'm not a giant, and I'm horribly out of shape now. But 3 years ago, if I saw Gargano and then he pushed me at a bar, I'd shove him right back and I would take him by the neck because I was a 240-pound man. Now I'm a 265-pound man. And it's not proportioned the same way. But that aside, I think that the big wrestler is back. I hope it stays, and I hope that we can write stories and characters to it. But I'm really excited about the return of the big wrestler.
I kind of want to jump on this first. Huh?
PayneMaker did not look amused.
Well, it's not. The fact is that, look, 5 years ago, you could have had a point where I said Gargano and Balor would have been the next guys. Not because of, and part of me would have seen because of their size, because let's be honest, 5 years ago, WWE with Vince, here's the one, this is one consistent joke that's all that I used to love from this one wrestling channel that says Vince McMahon likes big sweaty men. And the reason why it was always such a funny ass joke and a consistent running gag is because the way Vince was always trying to push the idea of big men. I like big wrestlers coming across a dude you don't want to fuck with across. If you see someone who like Brian Cage across from a bar, that's one dude immediately you spot him. Don't fuck with this guy. And same situations. And one other situation that I always come to, whenever I see wrestlers like leave WWE and then they return, like they show up at an independent event, there is a complete different change in them, especially around their body type. Let's talk McIntyre, for example. When he was in WWE in his first run, that dude, he was slender. He had muscle definition, but he was a slender guy. You see him show up in Progress, in the UK, on Impact. There's a big fucking difference there. That dude went from almost slender, like you can see, like flat as a ironing board, to this dude. He is so jacked that if he even looks down at you, you're gonna piss your pants.
Mm-hmm.
That idea of a big wrestler I like, because it shows not only from how hard the wrestler works on trying to develop their physical stature, but at the same time they show it within their presence. That's the idea of the big men I like, and that's one thing AEW does great. And despite of a wrestler's muscle definition or of their height or of their weight, especially what they do on Impact as well, the big men there in Impact, they not only show their size, but they also show their agility. And guys like AC Romero and Fallah Bahh, or because those two wrestlers I named out loud specifically, they at least had a small run in the X division, which is mainly a small guy division. And the fact that you see those two men actually go up against X division wrestlers, and someone like Willie Mack as well, who compared like Keith Lee would be seen as a giant in wrestling division, he chooses to actually wrestle in X division because you start to see him use his size not only strategically but athletically, and also for the entertainment value. I just hate this idea of how Vince McMahon likes to push the big men. I like the David and Goliath story, but I don't need to shove down my throat every 3 to 4 months. Like, oh my God, this man's a giant. Pan up to the camera of this dude walking by. Cameraman's gonna knock over, and guess what? This big dude's dick's gonna be swinging across the camera as he's walking to the ring. I don't like that idea that Vince wants to shove down my throat, pun intended. But with the big wrestlers like AEW, that's a fun idea. Go ahead, Matt.
Okay, one. Why are you talking about Goldberg in The Longest Yard? Let's leave that hammer alone. He's talking about the return of Sweaty Man. I want to pull up a picture and kind of go with Dos's point. Look at Matt Cardona. Look at him. When he was in WWE as Zack Ryder, he was a small guy. Now look at him. He is fucking cut. He has come back. You look at guys, Brody Lee's put on, in my opinion, Brody Lee's put on 20 pounds of just muscle. And you look at these guys since they come back, and they have gotten jacked. And I personally I agree with Dose. From time to time, I like to see these 80s style beefcakes just going at it. Two, as they put it, big hunks of sweaty meat. Like, in my opinion, that's one thing I love about Otis is he's a guy that looks like me. I'm in shape. Damn it, round is a shape, god damn it. Yeah, if you like that, I'm here all week. But I like seeing these big, bigger than life guys that are just here to wreck shop. And I think that's one thing I'm going to lead into a match because I'm thinking we're kind of leading into it, which was, matches and segments of the week. Mine has to be that main event for AEW with Brian Cage, Ricky Starks, Darby Allin, and Jon Moxley. Mox used what he's learned against Cage to kind of bring him down. And in that kind of beefcake clash, you also got to see Ricky Starks and Darby Allin get over. And in my opinion, anytime thumbtacks are used, I cringe because there's no way to fake that. Like, I wish I could have found the picture of after the match, the blood dripping down Ricky Starks' back because of that skateboard scene. It was beautiful. Like, the match flowed perfectly. They got to use all of their, pluses. Maybe we can't have the most technically sound match, so let's add a stipulation where we can work around it, just like last week with Eddie Kingston and Cody. I liked it. So, guys, what match or segment stood out to you?
I'm saying guys,
PayneMaker.
I mean, actually, one of my favorite segments. My favorite match, one I touched on when we were talking about the North American champion, the North American three-way, was a match that was on NXT, which was Gargano versus Strong. Now, that match I enjoyed because it was a carryover from last week's three-way to where Gargano and Strong blamed each other for their loss against Bronson Reed. And I liked how it collided into their match this week that we saw on NXT. And I like that. And I enjoy that match, not only because Gargano and Strong are great wrestlers and athletically gifted, but also this is one of the rare times to where you get to see a heel versus heel match and it works. Sure, in a general crowd, like if you put this on the main roster and you put two heels against each other, people be confused on who to root for. But even in the NXT arena, and even before like they put those wrestlers in the crowd, even the audience in NXT knew that when you get two characters, either face versus face or heel versus heel, you're gonna get yourself one hell of an interesting match. And we got that here. I mean, this is probably one of Gargano's best matches he's had since he's turned heel, in my opinion. And at the same time, the outcome as well definitely spills more into the Undisputed Era story, as we saw later in the episode. Everyone in the Undisputed Era goes to attack Imperium, trying to turn their luck around after this little losing streak that they've all been going on. And I don't think it's going to hint to a face Undisputed Era. I just think this is just going to have the Undisputed Era turn up the voltage even more before they may make their transition to the main stage. But right now, I liked how this one little match, there was no stakes. I mean, there was nothing up for grabs. It was just two men wanting to let loose their frustration on each other, and I like how there was ripple effects afterwards.
You hit most of the matches that made an impression for me. I just wanted to say one thing about the Undisputed Era. I don't think they're going anywhere, and I don't think they should. I think they're, again, I'm a size, so I think they're too small. And I think proof of it was them coming out as a pack and clearly going after the tag team champions again, who are part of a 4-person faction too. Just 2 of them are stuck in Europe, but that hopefully won't last forever. And so you've got sort of 4 against 4. And I actually think another thing you said is that the heel versus heel dynamic doesn't work. I'm not sure that's true. It's just not tried very often. I mean, face versus face isn't that normal either, but it happens and it works. I don't think there's any reason why heel versus heel couldn't work more often either. I think it would actually be pretty interesting, especially in this reality era. But the other reason why I don't think the Undisputed Era is going anywhere is because one of what I think is a continuing miss of this past week, which is the Adam Cole, Pat McAfee stupid work, which they rehashed on NXT not once but twice with the statements and Triple H, and it was just a miscommunication. What miscommunication? There's no miscommunication. I don't know how the kids do this meme, but I'm pretty sure somewhere there's something that says no one asked for Pat McAfee versus Adam Cole anywhere, ever, anytime. But if that's happening, it's happening in the NXT TakeOver universe, which just tells me that Adam Cole and the Undisputed Era are gonna be the 4 horsemen of NXT, and if they're there for the next 8 or 10 years, they're always going to be around the top story. They're not always going to have all the titles, but they can be in a picture at any time, or they're going to be in the celebrity gimmick, but they're going to be their horsemen of that brand. None of them are going anywhere. And Bobby Fish, by the way, he's like 43. The other guys are much younger, but Bobby Fish, I mean, he's not, he's not a spring chicken. He's not going anywhere. Watch them all be elevated tomorrow.
Barber,
my match of the week. I'm gonna go.
No, Bill, go ahead.
Ooh.
I just didn't want silence.
Oh, yeah. My match of the week. I'm actually going to go back to Monday Night Raw, and my match of the week was the women's title match between Asuka and Sasha. Besides the ending, which I thought was really stupid, the match itself was great. Mm-hmm. And finally, Sasha has won the big title that she hasn't won in a long time. And now both of those women, hands down, they are the MVPs of WWE. Them, I'll have to say Randy Orton's right there on top with them. Those 3 right now are carrying that fucking company on their back. Nobody else is putting in the work that Sasha, Bayley, and Randy Orton are doing. So that match was really good. I'm proud of Sasha. I didn't like the ending at all. Really stupid ending. But right after the match on YouTube, they did the WWE exclusive where they're celebrating having, each have 2 titles. And Sasha Banks corrected the interviewer, and she was like, "Oh, you guys have all the belts." She's like, "No. She's like, the NXT women's title is still out there. She'll get that next." So, there's a possibility, since they're still tag champions, that they could show back up on NXT and give them a little boost, so that I like women's wrestling. I know a lot of people don't. And these women deserve all the respect, man, because they go out there and bust their ass and they put it on the table. And some of these women, man, are hands down some of the best talent in the world, and, we get to see these women treated with respect, not like a joke, like in the 90s and shit, early 2000s. The only company back in the day that was actually treating women with respect was Impact, with Gail Kim, Awesome Kong, and all the other women. And now we're really seeing some of the best, so, that's my match of the week.
But Haven, you left out a caveat to that, which actually builds on your point. It strengthens it. Not only could they go after the NXT title, but the NXT title is held by Io Shirai, who is a pretty natural replacement for Kairi Sane to be a partner for Asuka and to continue that feud and to also put the tag team titles up for grabs as well. So it doesn't just end there. And Io is about as good as they get. So, I'm with you. I think I love Bayley and Sasha. I think they're the best act, but Asuka's right there with them because it wouldn't have worked without her doing the work that she's doing. So I just want to throw that out there to not rebut you, but to supplement your point.
Yeah. This.
Yep.
I'm gonna hold on my thoughts on that ending because when Sasha won the belt, she won it in sort of like a Healy fashion, and I think it's good that with her character. I did not like how it was executed. I didn't like how it was executed though because I've been listening to like Wrestling Observer. I watched Brian Zane. I looked at other people reviewing Raw, try to get their thoughts on this. And as far as I'm concerned, WWE messed up on the booking on how Sasha won that belt. Especially rewatching it, when you see Bayley attack Kairi, it's nothing but it's just a normal attack. It's not something that will conflict Asuka. If Bayley had gone a little further, like I don't know, put a chair around Kairi's throat, or she was gonna slam like the sliding gate onto Kairi's leg or so, threatening to put her on the shelf permanently. That could have helped elevate the stakes a little more for Asuka to leave that and get counted out. But still, I'm enjoying what Sasha and Bayley are doing. They are great together. This is kind of one of the examples I was thinking about back then when I didn't like how Charlotte's booking was because it was just always her alone. She would always get a good opponent every now and then, but she never had anybody else to work off of. With Bayley and Sasha, they have each other. And then they can take that chemistry and then they can feed it and bounce it off other female wrestlers like Asuka, like Kairi, like Alexa, like Nikki. And even then, when they bring in someone like Carmella into the mix before Bayley and Sasha begin their two-woman power trip, it's a situation like that when you get great heels to work off of each other, you can visually and imagine them holding every belt in the company.
Agree. With everything.
I hate to go negative here, but I want to bring it up because I did not like it at all. I agree with everything you guys said about your matches and your segments. Sasha and Bayley, MVPs, yes. NXT, those matches were great. The end of the 10-man tag match on AEW legit pissed me off. I did not like it. The match itself I was but the end of that match, because we don't say our favorite match or segment of the week. We're just talking here. I didn't like it. I didn't like Matt Hardy coming out and pushing Sammy Guevara off the top rope and the end of that match, like. No, like it. I get that. Matt and Sammy have a storyline going on, but I don't know. For some reason, it just rubbed me the wrong way. I didn't like the finish of the match. I didn't like it that the finish was Luchasaurus pinning Sammy Guevara because Matt Hardy pushed him off the top rope. I don't like it. I don't see how that works. What the stories is going forward. You know, I wanted more Orange Cassidy, Chris Jericho, Santana and Ortiz and Best Friends. I think they could have a good program, a series of matches. I think, you know, you could do that. But to have Matt Hardy push Sammy Guevara off the top rope for Luchasaurus to get the pin, and I like Luchasaurus. I'm glad he got a win, but I don't know, just something about it. I did not like it at all, and I'm sorry. I hate to go negative here, but I wanted to bring it up. I did not like it.
No,
at all.
That's fine, bro. That's fine. You went negative because I felt the same way. I thought it was stupid as fuck. Matt Hardy's supposed to be a good guy, and then he's gonna cheat in a match that really has no effect on anything. You know, if there was a heel, we would have been like, "Oh, that dirty bastard." But Matt Hardy, it's like, what the fuck you got to do that for? Like, what? It doesn't push the 10-man match anywhere. Like, that shit is dead now. You know, the match came and went. I don't really see them evolving to some other, you know, I know we're going to have a 12-man match next week, but that's different people. But yeah, I agree with you, man. That Matt Hardy shit coming out, I was like, why you got to do this to a young guy that just got back? You know, like why you got to cheat? If you want to fight this guy, just say you want to fight the guy. Like, why are you going to cause him to lose a match when he didn't cause you to lose a match? You know, that would have made more sense. If Sammy Guevara came in and interfered in a Matt Hardy match, cost him the match, then, you know, then I could see, you know, tit for tat. But for Matt Hardy to do this, it's kind of like, I was like, that was fucking stupid.
I'm glad you brought it up.
Something else I want to bring up. Yeah, something else I want to bring up on that point. We'd never heard that version of Matt Hardy's theme. It's like, what the fuck was that? You know, like that music drop. I thought it was, you know, somebody debuting something, you know, something special, and it was just Matt Hardy. I'm like, that. Yeah, no.
Yeah,
I think
like
it's.
I said, I'm glad you brought it up because I felt the same way.
Maybe the new theme for Matt's old identity, one of his old characters, because like. I know we keep getting so many different versions of Matt Hardy throughout BTE, Dark, and Dynamite, but AEW has also like changed themes of wrestlers. Like most recently, they changed Private Party's theme, so I'm guessing maybe this new theme for Matt Hardy is supposed to reflect Matt Hardy being the coach for Private Party. I don't know. It did felt like it was. I do agree. Matt interfering did take this match down. I was actually enjoying the match because it was, even though it was a spot fest, it was pretty much everyone waiting just to get their stuff in, you know, do the over the top planches or you know, do the pose for the hard cams. I was kind of enjoying it because I knew I wasn't going to get a lot out of this 10-man match. So, but and I don't know. I mean, I'm not against Guevara taking the pin here, but at the same time, I don't know. I think it feels better that it was Luchasaurus instead of maybe Trent or Jungle Boy.
I don't care who took the pin, but I don't think this was a spot fest. I think this was a slop fest. I mean, the match was clunky and slow. You know, the spots were all sort of very choreographed, but not well executed. You know, the faces outnumbered the heels already 6-5, and then at the end it was 7-5, which is, you know, not the normal dynamic. Okay, they're breaking paradigms. I get it. And then that music, I didn't recognize that music. Whatever Matt Hardy's new music is in AEW, it hasn't been played enough that I recognize it after hearing 2 notes. So I had no idea that was Matt Hardy's music. So that's a bit of a disappointment. I mean, the only thing that I can see this leading to, besides the Sammy Guevara, Matt Hardy program, which, I mean, that was before Sammy's suspension. I mean, it could have easily been forgotten. But perhaps we're going to get some Inner Circle versus Private Party and Matt Hardy interplay in the future. But where was Private Party? Were they not there? Did he tell them, I don't need you for this? I mean, it didn't make sense to me. I didn't think it was a good match. And, you know, I think they should have stuck with their formula of starting with the TNT title match. But I agree with everyone else. This match didn't do anything for me. Unfortunately for me, and maybe everyone else, the most interesting part of the match was that Luchasaurus's mask kept falling off, and he really was trying to put it on like he's a luchador. Like we really think he's a dinosaur? Just let the goddamn thing fall off. Who cares? I mean, it was just dumb. Just
I think it's clear he cares.
You're a big guy.
It's clear he cares. It's obvious he cares. Like Luchasaurus wants to hold on to that distinction.
I get it. Obviously if he's allowed to like it, I guess that's fine. It's just like, dude, you're not, 183-pound guy from Mexico City. You're a 6'5", 275 giant. I mean, we saw you in Big Brother. We know. But okay, I get it. Obviously,
not a lot of the audience is aware. I mean, look, when I first saw Luchasaurus and Lucha Underground, I knew nothing about him being on Big Brother, mainly because I don't watch the show. So it's kind of those situations.
But Luchasaurus first being on Lucha Underground was 7 years ago. So, I mean, in the interim, Lucha Underground has been off the air for at least 2 years, maybe 3. And I think he was in season 1, and it was a 4-season show. So it's been, let's just call it 5 years and be safe. But there was plenty of time to learn about that. If you Googled, listen, he was a guy tatted up, muscled up, and there were times where I'm like, ooh, this is the next Undertaker, or ooh, they should team him with Punishment Martinez, and that'd be cool. I mean, that was those years. I'm just saying that I think most AEW fans are pretty hardcore fans, and they would have done a search on him and figured out who he was and who he wasn't. Obviously, this was just me, but I found that to be the most interesting part of the match was him wrestling with his mask.
I totally agree with that.
Thank you, sir.
Yep. All right, gentlemen. That's kind of the end of the topics I have for tonight. Anybody want to drop any last little bit they want to bring up?
If you're
not, I want to bring up
you-
that fucking TNT.
Oh, the championship match.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna jump in. Yeah, I'm
Go
gonna talk about that fucking shit. I really don't understand what Cody is doing right now, and I'm not digging none of this shit at all. It's like the only good thing about this thing was last week they promoted this guy. They said his name, they showed a picture, so people could have Googled him. I didn't. I never heard of Warhorse. I don't know who the fuck he was. Didn't care who the fuck he was. And then the match happens, and I'm like, yeah, this match was a little too much give and take, for my opinion. Cody is a veteran from WWE, and that means something. Wrestling fans, talk all the shit they want, but at the end of the day, if you wrestled in WWE, you're kind of held at a higher standard than if you've never been in WWE. That's why WWE guys, when they do another promotion, they have some name recognition, even if they have to change their name or whatever the case may be. They have a little recognition compared to if you've only been in ROH your whole life or Impact your whole life. You come from WWE over there, then it's like, oh shit, and especially if you've been there for a long time. So this match was just too much for me. A lot of reversals where the guy almost has the pin. And Cody should just squash this fucking guy. Like if you're just going to be fighting nobodies and having some competitive ass matches, why not give Kip Sabian a title shot? Why not give somebody that's already on the roster these rubs? Like so far, he's gave Sonny Kiss, a title shot. And that's pretty much been it from the main roster besides, when they had Lance Archer, when he fought the Murder Hawk. And then the whole ending of this match was just stupid. I think there was too much Dark Order in this episode for my liking. Way too much Dark Order shit. Didn't make no sense at all, because, the announcers didn't explain it to me why the hell these guys coming out to attack Cody after the match. Is one of these fucking jobbers going to be the one next week going to fight him? Is number 5 or 10 or 12, whatever the fuck these jobbers' names are they going to have their little match against Cody next week? Because these guys come out, Cody, they jump Cody, then Warhorse, that's cool. Warhorse did a little save, like push Cody out the way. They beat him up. Then R. Anderson wants to come in the ring. To me, that took a little too long, because they're just standing there looking at him like they're fucking trying to figure out if they're going to played a little touch, some little tag touch. They're doing a little and then finally we get some other jobber shows up, and then the announcers couldn't even bring up anything of his past. Like if you've never watched WWE, you don't know who this guy is, and it's cornball. What his name start with an M? So it's something MC is his name, right? And he shows up, and it's like who fuck you? Another goddamn jobber. We don't need another goddamn jobber in this company. Hey man, that's a waste of fuck. I ain't gonna knock a guy making money. So I'm not gonna, say like, oh, they shouldn't have hired him, but I'm like, I don't give a fuck about this jobber. Another damn jobber in this fucking company. Are they gonna start tagging now? Because you already got fucking 30 tag teams. Who's gonna be the next tag team champions? There's so many new people coming in, and it's like, well, did you have a plan for the tag team division? Because I'm still waiting for the Lucha Brothers to win fucking tag. So are these guys, they're gonna tag up now? Cody and his bitch. Like, come on, man, this whole shit was trash. That's the bottom line, because the villain said so.
Okay, I guess I'm going to be the opposite side of that coin. I actually enjoyed this match. And what Cody is doing, I like the fact that he's bringing in people wrestlers I've never heard of, like Warhorse. Yeah, I agree. I think Cody should be focusing more on the roster itself. But the idea of what Cody wants to elevate this TNT championship and make it important, I think by giving wrestlers outside of the company, like Ricky Starks at the time when he was part of NWA, like Eddie Kingston, and like a Warhorse, I think it's to help not only bring more attention to AEW, but also to show that you can still come to AEW, you'll be booked strong, you won't go out like a chump, or you won't go out being dominated by Cody. That was one thing I liked of the story aspect of this match. Cody, and one thing that's proven with Cody, every title defense he has, he gets cockier, he gets more confident in his ability, to where you see in most there were bits and pieces in this match where Arn is trying to coach Cody back into focusing, get back on top of Warhorse. I mean, make sure don't give him an inch, don't let him take advantage, stay on your game. But Cody, becoming more arrogant in his character, he overestimated Warhorse. And one thing I wanted to talk about Warhorse, I didn't know much about him, but early this morning when I was about to go over Dynamite again, I was on Twitter. A wrestling fan had recorded her, I think 8-year-old daughter watching the TNT match. Her 8-year-old daughter was 100% behind Warhorse, and when Warhorse lost, that child gave the most disappointed look on her face. The mom, it was adorable because that's getting wrestling fans early at that age, getting them behind somebody. And I mean, sure, it worked on a young fan compared to us grown-ass men. But I liked how, with Cody bringing in different sorts of wrestlers and the aesthetic of these wrestlers and how they can appeal to different audiences. And if something like this with Warhorse was able to get a new fan out of this 8-year-old girl and her mother, I kind of want to see what Cody's taking this further. The Dark Order thing, yeah, that was out of nowhere. I thought because I've been following AEW Dark and BTE, it looked like the Dark Order was mainly going to focus on Hangman and Omega, but the fact that Cody's bald, it felt like a complete waste over just to show everyone, oh, the AKA former Zack Ryder is now part of AEW. There could have been a better way to introduce Macrodome, because now and then, almost every wrestler that's coming from a different company is either they make the save from one of the elites or somebody getting jumped, or they'll get this small little hype package, and then, or at times they'll do like a surprise appearance, for that shock value. And I think what was obvious with Matt Cardova, they need to change up how they're bringing in wrestlers, especially those from different companies. I mean, if next week, that Cody said, if it was going to be displayed next week, advertised that Matt Cardova was going to fight Cody for the TNT Championship, that would be a good way to show that he's going to be a part of AEW. But it's him saving Cody, and it went from a very solid match in my mind, and got muddled from the after credits, the end credits of what I would call it.
I didn't have any problems with it. I don't have any problems with this open tournament. I like it. I think AEW is giving a nod to its roots. It's not even a year old on TV, and then a lot of these guys were indie stars that nobody had heard of before they were on TV either. I like that they're giving guys a chance to work, that they're getting a payday that's probably the equivalent of 6 or 7 independent bookings and for one night's work, and they're giving them a little bit of exposure, sell some merch and whatnot. I don't think that the end was ever in doubt. And exactly what PayneMaker said. Cody's doing the Scott Steiner push-ups in the ring. Arn's trying to talk to him. So everyone assumes that Arn's going to be part of this new Mid-Atlantic Four Horsemen group. I'm not so sure that he's not going to get the boot. But Cody also kept doing the figure 4, and he said woo at one point before giving the figure 4. And I think that was more the story than anything that the Warhorse was or wasn't doing. So I have no problem with it. I'm sort of enjoying it. I know what Villain is saying. I get it. I do not think that the save by Matt Cardona was particularly dramatic, particularly exciting. I don't think if there was a crowd, it would have gotten a large pop, but whatever. It's COVID. It was fine. The end for me.
Yeah, I'm kind of on both sides here because I like that they're bringing in these guys and giving them, exposure, and they're having good matches. But I also want to see some guys already on the roster get a shot, like a Kip Sabian or someone. So I'm kind of on both sides here. I mean, as long as we get good matches, I'm okay with it. But it kind of doesn't put the end of the match. There's no, oh my gosh, is this going to be the guy that takes it off Cody? I mean, there's no kind of drama there for it. If it's somebody on the roster that we know is going to be there next week, then there might, be a little added tension there. Like maybe this is the week we're going to get shocked and, Kip Sabian's gonna win the title. So I'm kind of on both sides here.
Yeah, I wanted to save my rage for a different outrage, but I don't know if it's my turn yet.
Well,
Go
I'm curious
ahead.
now.
Okay. I know that me and 36 other people in the world watch Ring of Honor, but I am one of them. And they posted on Twitter today an interview with ROH star Amy Rose. And her quote is, "I am proud to work for a company that takes the health of its talents and fans seriously." And my response to this, which I got no response to and I really didn't expect to, but every part of this post is ridiculous. So since 37 people, including me, watch Ring of Honor, you probably don't know what I'm talking about, but maybe some of it. First of all, Amy Rose isn't a star, but that's the smallest part of it. I mean, she barely she does wrestle a little bit at MCW, which is our local indie, but on Ring of Honor, I'm not sure I've ever seen her wrestle. She was the ring keeper, timekeeper woman who then became Kenny King's sort of love interest, then his valet, then his enabler, then his manager, and then she became the sort of part of the Los Ingobernables North America faction with Roosh and his brother Dragon Lee. She has a wonderful pair of fake boobs. Beyond that, I know nothing else about her. The other parts are really what's ridiculous. Okay, Ring of Honor shut down, so none of their talent is exposed to COVID. None of their fans are exposed to COVID. Congratulations. You're run by Sinclair, who only owns you because it was cheaper to own you than to lease you, and they don't tape TV individually. They tape TV at live shows, and all the live shows are basically mini pay-per-views. So if you're not going to be taping, if you're not going to do shows because there's no crowds, you're not going to tape TV. It has nothing to do with the health and safety of the fans or the talent. But if you need any proof about that they don't care about the safety of the fans, it was in late 2019 when part of the allure got into the face of a fan, and a fan got into the face of Mandy Leon, and spit was exchanged. And then Mandy Leon's boyfriend, Delirious, who's a booker for ROH, or was, and Mandy Leon's best friend, Velvet Sky's boyfriend, a guy you might know as Bully Ray or Bubba Ray Dudley, Dudley Boys here might be familiar with him. He's your cousin, I think, who is also a booker. Bubba Ray, yeah, big guy. Anyway, he and Delirious physically accosted the fan backstage and scared the hell out of him. They used Ring of Honor security to bring the guy back and then cornered him and basically make him wear his pants. So that's not caring about your fans. The other thing is they have no medical staff. But what do they do to their injured talent? Kelly Klein is still she's been stripped of the Woman of Honor World Heavyweight Championship. She was stripped of that when she had a concussion. So they don't really care about the health. But more to the point, when Jay Lethal broke his arm, because people break their stuff there all the time, there was not a medic there. And again, remember, they only tape during house shows, which are mini pay-per-views. They don't have any small matches. No medical staff was there. Alex Shelley was the closest thing they have. He's talent on there on a appearance per appearance basis, and he has a physical therapy license. So he's the one who gave care to Jay Lethal. That's the only medical staff they have for a place to have Flip Gordon, who injures himself almost every year, where PCO, within the prior 6 months, almost destroyed his other eye. They have no medical staff. They don't care about the health or safety of their talent. They don't care about the health or safety of their fans. She's not a star. It was all bullshit. And, out of the 37 fans that follow Ring of Honor, this one of them, this 137th, is outrage. I call that my outrage of the week. Thank you.
I get what you're saying, but I get what you're saying, and I see that maybe she just, she took it upon herself, just to say like, hey, I'm gonna throw my name out there so people remember that, I'm still here. She can't go nowhere else and wrestle, so maybe she just wants to put it out there, be a trooper for the company. So, I'm not mad at that. You got, maybe she just wants to say, like, hey man, so
I agree.
I'm not mad at her.
They told her, I'm not mad at her.
She's trying to
just picking on her. They told her what to say. It's on them. It's not on her. I just found it to be ridiculous, obnoxious, a lie. And I have asked them before on Facebook and on Twitter, what's going on with Marty Scurll. Now, they could say it's still under investigation. They could say something. And there's not so much interaction there that they don't know who I am. They do. I have spoken to Shane Taylor on there. I've spoken to Silas Young on there. I've spoken to Josh the Woods Good, his name is Van Dyst or something. I have spoken to Ian Riccaboni on there. I mean, not extensive conversations, but they know my name. It's not like I'm nobody. It's not like I'm somebody, but I'm not nobody. It's not just random. They could at least respond and say it's still pending investigation. They don't respond to anything. And in the era of Marty Scurll was their point man for everything, and with all shit's going, they're saying nothing and putting this. Put an interview out with PJ Black. Put on the best of Tyler Black. Who cares? You have 18 years of content to put out this bullshit. Like I said, this is my outrage of the week. It probably feels a lot bigger to me than it feels to anybody else. It just struck me in all the wrong ways. Rant over.
Okay, I need that to actually contribute. This is one thing I don't know about.
Yeah, I'm not one of the 37.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you had your point. I mean, everybody's got to have a point on that. I am kind of surprised that we haven't heard anything about Marty Scurll lately, because that's a name right there. Like that is a big name right there. And I don't know. Anybody else have anything they want to discuss before we call it a night?
If you haven't,
well, we haven't heard from Marty Scurll because of the accusations and stuff. That's why. Oh, my fault. Go ahead, Jacob.
No, you're good. But yeah, no, I was just saying it's not 100% wrestling related, but every Wednesday, up, down, down. If you guys are looking for some entertainment, Adam Cole, Tyler Breeze, Cesaro, and Xavier Woods play Uno, and it's actually really entertaining. And I would recommend it if you're looking for a laugh, you have some downtime. Watch it. Give them a watch. It's pretty fun to watch, actually.
Yeah, they're really competitive.
Oh yeah,
they're really competitive, which I like. Yeah.
Whenever Cesaro or the Miz is on there, like that competition goes up too. No, whenever Cesaro, Miz, Joe, Cole, whenever they're on there, yeah, I love the competition between those guys. And even when he brings in other people, other wrestlers who are not big gamers like he is, like I still love it when he ever has Bayley and Sasha on there when Alexa Bliss shows up. Oh, actually, now thinking about Alexa Bliss, it's not really something I want to talk about a lot, but it was just like this nice little thing that was definitely circling with her when it comes to wrestling news. So, of course, everyone out there, if you're familiar with this app called Cameo, you get to pay you get to donate to a celebrity to, give you a video message. Oh my God, this new circling. A wrestling fan donated or paid $400 for a video message from Alexa Bliss because he wanted to go on a date with her, or at least ask her out to a dance. And it was a date. Yeah, it was a date. Yeah. And her response was she politely declined, pretty much saying that she's in a relationship with someone. And she also told him that don't let me turning you down turn you off from dating. There's still fish out there in the sea. You keep your head up, and hopefully there will be others who will see you as a sweet person. I don't remember the full video. I just remember coming across that, and I thought to myself, wow, I forgot about that. I mean, like there's wrestling fans out there that actually do want to ask there's still some wrestling fans that do want to ask them out on dates.
It's a good choice.
Those 9 hours of real wrestling. 9 hours of real wrestling all this week, and that's this bullshit you bring up. Wow.
Yes.
Nobody even mentioned anything about SmackDown. You want to bring up Alexa fucking Bliss's little video she did where somebody paid her shit ton of money, $400, because I seen that too. But if she would have cussed at him or some shit, but man, ain't shit no newsworthy. Man, we didn't even talk about MJF. Nobody talked about MJF's promo. Nobody talked about the FTR signing, which that was stupid. But like I said, I'm not going to keep bringing up all the topics. But damn,
you want to talk about MJF's promo?
It was never fire promo. It wasn't a
promo, if you like.
I'm surprised Matty G. I'm surprised Matty G never even brought up his match or segment of the week, because I thought he was going to come to the bar fight.
No, I did go first. I went with the Texas tornado tag between Ricky Starks, Cage, and Mox and Darby Allin. I did bring that. I went first. But if you do want to talk about the bar fight, I actually kind of enjoyed that. I thought it was pretty neat. It was definitely the better of the cinematic matches that came out in the last 2 weeks. I kind of liked it. I don't like the fact that, if you put a hat over his head, Jeff Hardy's head, he becomes somebody else. Not really my thing. But the bar fight itself was pretty, entertaining. It looks like something you see if two guys were scrapping in a bar.
The bar of reincarnation.
All right, you want to bring up something? Let's talk about how cool Michael Cole is. Michael Cole is smoking weed with Godfather and Snoop Dogg. Like, he looks lit as fuck.
Yeah. That's the apex. That's the opus of his life.
Michael Cole's never been cool. Man,
all right,
chilling now. Michael Cole's never been fucking cool.
All right, you want to talk about something else? Triple H is going to whoop MJF's ass, and he is going to show him what the state of AEW is. He is going to make him his bitch. Personally, I thought that promo was interesting. It was definitely a jab at the president. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's what he's doing. I wish that he hadn't thrown all that dictatorship of Mox shit out. That didn't fit, but the rest of it was really entertaining. MJF's just on fire when it comes to the mic.
I agree. I mean, I loved the backstage part when he comes out of his dressing room. I loved how everything he did with slapping the guy in the face, fixing the hair. I loved the sexism in the ring. Smile, you look prettier. He had to sign something like it mattered. It was obviously a big signature. And yes, it looked like he was doing the Donald J. Trump signature. I loved every part of it, except exactly what you said, Matty G. He's talking about Mox the Dictator. Moxley is the only one that's in the top tier that isn't an actual executive vice president. So aside from the fact that none of that made sense, it was a perfect promo. But it would have been a perfect promo if it was at Kenny Omega or at Cody or even one of the Young Bucks or even Paige, who I think is some sort of officer position somewhere in there, or Brandy. He's going to have intergender match. But against Moxley, made no sense because Moxley isn't ducking anybody. Moxley fights anyone. Moxley will fight everywhere. That's his. Even after he beats Cage clean, then the guy gives up for him. He'll still fight him again. So how is Mox the Dictator? Who has Mox said no to? Mox isn't talking about the rankings. Mox isn't the ones that said, MJF, you've been number one for 4 months, but you don't get a title match. That's everyone else. So the premise was missing, which almost overcame all of the rest of it, but the rest of it was fun to watch. So it gets a thumbs up for that. But like 6-4, when it could have been a 10 if it was about Omega or Cody. They should have saved it for 6 months when there was a different champion. They didn't need to do it here because it just didn't make sense. But it was great. It was a lot of fun. But somebody put up a poll: what's better, this, Hard Times, the Pipe Bomb, or some, probably some Ric Flair promo or something? It doesn't matter what it was. Just to put it in the same context with any of those was insulting. And his conclusion was, I like last night's the best. Shut up! You know nothing. Those others were real. This wasn't even a promo. This was a scripted 20-minute segment. That's not a promo. I mean, but never mind. That's it. Second rant over.
I liked it.
Anybody want to jump in before I go?
If it leads to a Mox and MJF match, I'm all for it. I'm on the MJF for champ bandwagon.
I'm for the match.
A couple months ago, I predicted that MJF would be the next big opponent for Moxley after he won that championship. It was just a matter of when they were going to do it. And if it's going to be at All Out, that's a great venue for him to start going for. I did look. The promo was fire. It did nothing for me. I knew it was going to be MJF. He was either going to go heel in front of the audience, or he was going to challenge Mox for the championship. It was just one of two things, and he killed both those birds. And he killed both those birds with one stone. So that's all I got.
Villain,
I think the promo's fine.
He could have replaced
go ahead, brother.
with Tony Khan, and it would have been perfect.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about wrestling. I'm gonna talk my shit right now. As a fan, it's like we want to believe, but then we want realism, And it is a TV show, and these guys are actors. And the new age right now, it's like, oh, we can't give them stupid names anymore. So some people use their real names, but then it's like, if you're paid to be a character, but in real life, it's like, when does this stuff end for the wrestlers? Because if this is it's a TV show, it is scripted, so stuff should be happening, like perfect example, MJF. Yeah, the promo was a little too long. Like they could have cut 2 minutes off of this. Every year when it's like political season, elections, wrestling is always known to do this, where they kind of mock it, do a little skit, couple skits sometimes. So that was fine. I didn't care. That was fine. That's wrestling. Him talking about Moxley in a totally different way than what we perceive him is heel 101 right now. It's like he's going to say any excuse of why he hasn't got a championship match yet. He's going to say anything he can to say Moxley's ducking him. Moxley's using his power, to not give me a title shot. So that was all fine with me. That's what kills me about wrestling fans. It's like you want this to happen, but then you don't want it to. You want it to happen your way, But then this other wrestling fan wanted the same thing to happen, but they wanted their way. So everybody's like, oh, he wasn't talking about the truth. But it's like, what do you want in wrestling? You want it full 100% reality, where it's the truth, or you want the entertainment, which is, made up stuff, So it's like, to me, it was fine. I just thought it was a little too long. They could have somebody else could have got a little shine, had a little promo. Joey Janelli, Dustin Rhodes. They could have somebody cut a little 30-second promo, Abaddon little package. They could have did something else for, but I thought it was fine. I think that this is the natural progression for him. It's something that he's a young guy and he hasn't had not even 10 matches this year in AEW. That's the only thing that pisses me off. Like, for as young as he is, he should have been having way more matches to build up, because I'm afraid of ego setting into this guy where, maybe if they do give him the belt and he could say, shit, man, I didn't have that many matches this year. I don't have to do this next year or when I'm the champion. Like, I'm not feeling that when somebody brings an idea to him, like, hey, we want you to do this. And then, he becomes like, Austin Aries or a lot of wrestlers that have just been bad apples because they got everything too fast, when you're working for a company. So you're working for people. They tell you what to do and, when to do stuff. So I just hope that he's not going to be like that in the future, where if they give him stuff too fast, because like I said, he should have had, if you're going to build a future stars, it's already been 1 year. Darby Allin's had a nice amount of matches, but a lot of these other guys, they should have been getting their reps, man. First year, they should have been getting a lot of reps in the ring, That's all right.
Definitely. All right, gentlemen. Like we said, the bar fight was pretty good. I don't really have anything else. So why don't we do this? PayneMaker, where can people find you on the interwebs?
Well, everyone can find me here every Thursday or whenever I can make it to Suplex City Chats. People can also check me out on TMG Trivia. I run a division there called Franchise Wars. There, we're pretty much taking movie franchises and we're building a tournament. We're building a tournament off of movie franchises out of everything of Hollywood, from the Monster Universe movies to your favorite geeks, to your favorite geek movies like the MCU and Star Wars. We're just getting started, so we already have like a lot of ideas we already have a lot of ideas planned. But if you want to be interested to play in TMG Trivia, at least in Franchise Wars, you can just message me on my Facebook at Brian Payne, and you can also follow me on Twitter at Caramel Payne.
All right, Jacob the Barber, homie, hit it.
You can find me here every Thursday as well. I'm glad none of us did any fantasy booking tonight. Well done, guys. Anyway, you can find me here. You can find me over on Nerd Entertainment Network, where I compete in the CWT. The semifinals of the World Contenders Tournament actually dropped today, so go watch that. It's me versus Sean Redmond. It was a really good match. You guys should go check it out. Making my way into the movie trivia over there as well. And if you really want to, you can look me up on Facebook, but that's not as exciting.
All right, villain, lay it out.
Oh, of course, you can find me every Thursday until I'm allowed to be here, until they kick me out for, speaking the truth, when it comes to wrestling. You can find me Thursday nights here at TMG, Suplex City. You can find me on Facebook at Jack of All Trivia. That's how you get into the trivia league that I'm a part of. We have all different type of matches there. And, of course, on YouTube at Jack of All Trivia, that's where you can see the matches that we lay out.
Evil Dose, you're up, brother.
All right. First of all, I want to thank you guys for inviting me and inviting me back again. So I'm going to say you can find me here Thursdays as long as they'll have me. I know I talk too much. Brevity is not my thing. I will try to do better, and I will probably continue to fail. It's not personal. It's just not my skill set. You can also find me on Twitter, IcarusFellMD. I have, right, exactly, every week on Thursdays. Thank you. I have like no followers, so you're all welcome. I'm not particularly good at Twitter, but hey, you can find me on Facebook in the Solomonster Sounds Off wrestling group. Really solid wrestling podcast. Pretty good group, about 7,500 members. I'm one of the moderators there, so if you hate me here, you're really going to hate me there. I am also very excited that I was invited to be a co-host on Wrestling Soup's spin-off show. They call it Frank and Gus because that's what it's either their middle names or what they thought their parents were going to name them. Anyway, so it's a special episode of Frank and Mark. Mark really is my middle name. It's fitting in this context. So and Anthony Missionary Thomas was kind enough to make that public. It's usually just for Patreon, so it's public. So if you want to check that out, you can look up Wrestling Soup. It's the Frank and Mark episode. It dropped yesterday. It was recorded last Friday. And we had a lot of fun. And Mish told me he got a lot of good feedback. And I don't think he's just blowing smoke. I think he would be the kind of guy tell me, Jeff, it just didn't work out. So hopefully I'll do that again. And lastly, I have my own podcast with my co-host Shaheen, who you guys might know from Wrestling Overdose and Nuclear Heat Graphics and Clothesline Chair Shots, sort of like T-shirt company. Anyway, it's called Garden of Doom. Obviously, I'm the Doom. He's the Garden. It barely touches on wrestling. And when it does, it's begrudgingly because Shaheen quit wrestling and he hates it now. So it only comes in a little bit. So if you're interested in other things, it's sort of like my private Facebook page, which is to say eclectic. So hopefully check it out. Hopefully you like it. It's new. We're on all the sites. Apple dropped today, so I'm really excited about that. So, and if you don't like it, tell me what you don't like. We can change the content. It's brand new. We're not married to anything. And I don't know, I'm on Apple. I feel like a success now.
Right on. And you can find me at Facebook at Matt Graham, right here on TMG Entertainment. I am the Game Zone Debate Commissioner, so if you like to yell at people about gaming, definitely hit me up there. Saturday nights, I do another show called After Dark. We usually have a guest on or somebody, and we sit around and bullshit for as long as this, if not longer. Also, over on TMG Trivia, I am head of the singles division, so if you want to get into that, hit me up there. As well as that, everybody, this was Suplex City Chats. Don't forget to jam that